Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight, Chapter 127, Annoying. Tilty's plane glided into a hangar of a 10-story building in East New Ring, as his landing spokes were caught in a series of elastic cables below. His propeller blade slowed to a grinding halt while the craft parked completely. Surrounded by pipes of hissing steam, Stealthies climbed out into the adjacent platforms, while Rainbow Dash hovered close to the ceiling, squinting at the many complex mechanisms and pressure gauges surrounding them. Suddenly, the plane collapsed into a heap of rattling junk. Ah! Rainbow spun about, gawking at the jagged shards as the landing strip opened up to reveal a trash compactor below. The remains of the plane were scooped in, squashed, and conveyed away on a rolling treadmill. What in the hay just happened? Half of Darkstein technology is about destruction and reuse. Stealthy said, "Trust me, I have an identical vehicle constructed for me just as quickly for my flight home." Rainbow pointed at the chunks of the airplane being carted away. "You mean to tell me that, all the time during which we were flying here, the stupid thing could have done that?" "Don't be ridiculous." Stealthy droned and marched his rigid self past her. "I wouldn't have given it the pleasure." Rainbow Dash frowned. "Okay, dude, if this is your way of introducing me to the Darksteinian sense of humor, that's assuming that they have one," he muttered, while trotting towards the inner chambers beyond the hangar. He pointed blindly at her hovering figure. "I'd not fly around if I were you." "Hey, hovering is what I do. Why shouldn't I?" "Because the highly electrified auto turrets of the Darksteinian Meta security system are trained to incinerate all identified flying objects within a 5-mile radius." Rainbow gulped and dropped limply onto the floor beside the tall stallion. "Walking it is." Just at the end of the chamber, a bright light flickered around them, accompanied by a loud siren that sounded like a swarm of angry cicadas, was shrieking directly into Rainbow's skull. With a rattle of her golden pendant, she scrunched down to the ground and covered her ears with a grimace. 3 sets of hooves bounded around the corner, and soon a trio of deadpan unicorns were standing before the 2 visitors wearing silver armor and bearing electrified lances over their horns. "New objective added," one said in an unemotional tone. "Acquisition of identities of outsiders. Formal support, affirmative." A second nodded, sounding just as cold and lifeless. The third marched forward, frowning. "Complete neutral inquisition. Identify yourselves, outsiders." Rainbow Dash was standing up, a painfully perplexed expression crossing her face. Steelteeth cleared his throat, his glittering jaw showed as he stood fearlessly before the guards. "I am Constable Steelteeth, former ambassador of Redstone Interests. Darksteinian Airspace Patrol had already cleared us to proceed towards the facilities of Governor Minto and New Ring. Correction applied." Join the middlemost guard. "She who would be Governor Minto is located in East New Ring. We who would be Darksteinian citizens currently reside in East New Ring." Supportive statement applied. Added another. "He who is my co-worker is correct. Only point to support. He who would be Duke Zobnatter failed to add the agitative descriptor East to the Darksteinian capital." The third's horn shimmered threateningly. Those voice hardly showed the same intimidation. Passionate inquiry. "Do you who would be outsiders support the administration of who would be Duke Zobnatter?" Steelteeth's aquamarine eyes narrowed. Nonetheless, he coolly spoke. "I'm not familiar with the political authority of Zobnatter as of late, and my companion here is a foreign Pegasus from a land far away. We're merely here on the insistence of Queen Whitemane of Verdestone to pay Governor Minto a cordial visit." The 3 armored Darksteinians shared glances. After a mutual nod, they leaned back, their horns stopped shimmering with energy. One of them boldly spoke. "Achievement unlocked, sufficient trust. You may proceed to the governor's facilities. He would be Constable Steelteeth, and she would be a foreign paces from a land far away. Much appreciated, General Pulse. Steelteeth said and tipped the edge of his hat. With a billowing in his coattails, he marched away. As Rainbow scurried after him, one of the unicorns leaned in and spoke with a golden gaze. Title obtained. He who would be a watchful eye of she who would be a suspicious outsider of many colors. The two proceeded along a steam-vented bridge between tall, grass-framed buildings. Rainbow Dash peered behind her and glared at the trio of guards, who still watched from afar.
Yeesh, what the hell is up with the way they talk?
It's part of age-old Darstanian tradition. Steelteeth murmured as civil steam trains and monospheres zoomed above and below them, through the smoggy urbanscape. The unicorns in New Ring, or should I say, East New Ring, speak in a passive voice that blends with their philosophy of emotional detachment and self-sacrifice to the autonomy of industry.
Ah.
Rainbow Dash nodded.
Well, could you tell them to stop? It's really freaking annoying.
Steelteeth shook his head. I cannot make them change their speech any more than I can get them to alter their very own tradition and creed. My former job as ambassador meant maintaining a passive distance of my own.
Yeah.
Rainbow Dash smirked up at him.
But what about your current job as tall, dark Mr. Badflank?
You misunderstand me, Miss Dash. Steelteeth muttered. I have never harmed another pony.
Well, that's good to know.
At least none that deserve it.
Rainbow blinked at that.
She shook the thought off as she gazed down at the cluster of dense pedestrians trotting through the metal-paved streets of the metropolis.
Yeesh, it's like a gigantic menstrual sauna in this place, and every pony's invited.
It must be difficult to force yourself to stay on the ground for a visit like this.
What?
I said, it must be difficult.
What?
Rainbow Dash hissed, wincing as more vehicles zoomed by on tracks overhead.
I'm sorry, but this place is way too dang loud. How can ponies live like this?
You must not be a city pony.
Heck, I've been to cities before, but this...
She shrieked, a little too girlishly for her own measure, as a hot burst of steam vented out from the bridge's platform below. Sighing, she scampered to catch up with him.
The capitals I'm used to have painted wooden roofs, heart-shaped architecture, and loads of flower gardens. This place is like a godforsaken jar of almonds in every orifice.
The Darstanians have a different perception of tranquility. They admire the concept of a cog within a machine, and it is not so strange for them to subscribe to a lifestyle just as metaphorically cacophonous. With a solemn breath, Steelteeth gazed towards the smoggy cityscape. It alarms me to think that there could be a sudden air of turmoil about the place.
Are you talking about the whole confusion over New Ring and East New Ring?
Rainbow made a face.
What's up with that? And who's this Darth Zerachel anyways?
Duke Zobnatter. Steelteeth corrected. And there will come a time and place for a history lesson.
Oh, come on.
Rainbow rolled her eyes and mischievously smirked.
Give me a break, Steely. You suck at lore mastering.
Shh. Steelteeth gestured towards the massive, gear-powered gates looming before them. Behold, the governor's house.
So help me, Luna, the little filly's room better not have auto turrets too.